Hello all, and wet and stormy day here in Dublin. We're getting thunderstorms and lightning at the moment, which is not unusual for this time of year. But today I want to address something that happened over the weekend here in Ireland. Two tragic events where two young men lost their lives due to stabbing incidents. One was stabbed outside of a nightclub in Dublin. Fled to the scene and was pursued, only to receive two more stab wounds. Another was attacked and fled by basically diving into the River Liffey, which is the main river that journeys through Dublin. And they came out to the river further along its course, and was taken to hospital and tragically died in hospital due to underlying health issues. Not due to the stab wounds or being into the water, it seems, but we're awaiting the results of a post-mortem on that yet. So, both incidents are tragic, and my condolences go to the families of both involved. Both incidents are under very different circumstances. However, they both highlight something that is becoming more and more of an issue here in Dublin, and that is knife crimes. Knife crime has been on the rise in Dublin over the last several years. We've been trying desperately to tackle it in the city by increasing Garda presence and by increasing punishments for those caught with knives. However, even though it is making inroads into it, it is not preventing tragic events like this from taking place. In the first case, the young man who was stabbed came from the Nigerian community here in Ireland. He himself had been living in Ireland for quite some time, but was born in Nigeria. His mother lives here in the town of Drogheda, north of Dublin. And his father also, although his father wasn't in the country at the time where he was stabbed, he had a very good profession, very worthwhile one, as a promoter of social events and a DJ. And so the circumstances around his death are proving to be very controversial. Like, was this a racially motivated attack? Was this something to do with his job, maybe? Or what could motivate someone to literally hunt another person down in the streets of Dublin is still up to question. Unfortunately, racially motivated attacks are on the rise here in Ireland, which is a very sad state of affairs. But attacks resulting in death such as these is very, very rare, and it's quite rare to have two attacks resulting in the death directly or indirectly of an individual. We usually have dozens and dozens of events going on in Dublin in an average weekend, even more so on the bank holiday weekend, of which this one was. And almost all, 99.999% of them go off without a hitch. What can be done? Well, first off, the police presence has been increased in Dublin. The guards are on the scene at the Dublin City stabbing, the first one that I mentioned of the young lad from Nigeria. The guards were on the scene very early on. They'd gotten there within 3 minutes of it being reported. I don't know yet if they have anybody in custody, but they are treating this as a murder inquiry. The other case, again, as I said, they're waiting on the results of a post-mortem to see whether it was an underlying health issue which caused that young man's death, or whether as a result of the attack. But nevertheless, there would be a criminal investigation into such an attack Personally, I have experienced being attacked on the streets of Dublin. I unfortunately went through an incident about 15 years ago now, where I was attacked in an area called Stony Batter on the way home from a nightclub in Dublin. It was not a very pleasant incident. It still left me with unease about being in the city centre of Dublin even to today. So we can only just see what how the situation is going to evolve. So if you compare this to other states, there hasn't been a major set of protests or conflict regards to it. Everybody is basically quite upset, of course, about the situation, but the blame falls solely on those who perpetrated the crimes rather than an overall sense of injustice against one group or another, as seems to be happening at the moment in the UK with the Novak, sorry if I mispronounced the boy's name, with his trial that where in his case this young lad was stabbed by a member of a minority community, and when the police turned up they didn't believe him and arrested him for inciting racism against the minority member who made accusations against him, and he basically bled to death in handcuffs, it would seem. Despite the pleas of the family for the case to be just kept quiet and there to be no public outcry from it, a prominent British politician named Nigel Farage called on severe outrage or extreme outrage with regards to this, which prompted some of his supporters to go out and start protesting and attacking police, as had happened a few years ago with the South Park, I think it was called, protests in Britain under quite similar circumstances. Thankfully, we don't have any politicians here in Ireland who are of that persuasion to make political scoring points with regards to this, and we can let the guards basically investigate without there being any political interference. With regards to, we'll say, places like America, which have got higher incidents of gun crime, getting a gun in Ireland is very, very, very difficult. And so, unfortunately, knife crime seems to have taken its place. So I would hope that there will be a push towards strengthening the laws and the rules with regards to possessing knives, particularly at night time on the streets of Dublin. And I would also hope that anybody thinking of bringing a knife to things like a nightclub or that would think twice about it. No life deserves to be lost under any circumstances like this, but particularly somebody just going out for a good night out deserves to come home in one piece. So my condolences and my heart goes out to the two families involved, and I wish them all the best. Take care.